Hey YouTube, how you going? Welcome to another update, weekly update on my progress through Founder University, and to share a little bit about Oqire and what I've been working on this week. So this week, really, I view these kind of weeks as action weeks with Founder University. A lot of the content is starting to build on previous week's content, and more importantly, there's a focus on, making sure that you progress as much as you can in the course. So whether that's people who haven't launched and it's really defining your idea, talking to customers, or people like myself who've just launched, continuing to progress the product, talking to customers, trying to get some first users on board, or if you're even a little bit further along, and have launched and been in the market for a few weeks, how are you growing your customer base? So this week's presentation was from Presh, who's part of the launch team. I actually had the opportunity to meet Presh a few years back when he came out for Launch Festival Sydney, and so it was kind of great to see that he's still with the team and hear his content, which focused primarily on early stage marketing and the different channels that are available to you from a marketing perspective. It really did build on a lot of some of the earlier content that we've seen from, for example, the founder of Llama Life talking about building in public, and Presh had an extension of that, and talking about finding the right channel for you, whether that's Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn. Basically, where's your customer? Where is it best to create this kind of content? I'd imagine if you're doing a B2C type solution, maybe something like TikTok or Instagram is going to be a little bit better for you as opposed to like a B2B solution where maybe LinkedIn's more appropriate. Talks about the types of content that you can share. There was a couple of really good examples around how you set up your profile for best practice so that you can drive traffic. Basically the idea being that, if you create a good tweet or a good post, for example, people are going to look at your profile picture. Hopefully they click, they then come to your profile. That first either pinned tweet or the pinned comment, I guess, on LinkedIn, is what they're going to see first potentially, as well as anything in your bio. So how do you leverage those kind of that thought process to drive traffic to your website or some other channel? Presh also shared an example where with one of his applications, which was more B2C focused, how he leveraged an influencer on TikTok. He paid them like $60, managed to get a bunch of signups from that. So I thought that was quite interesting. I really love it when people share first-hand accounts basically of what they're doing and how they've done something in the past rather than just talking about the theoretical. So that was really good to see. His startup was called, what was the name of it? I got it here, Go Grateful. So it was like a iMessage based journaling tool. So again, more kind of B2C focused, but it was quite interesting to hear how he was able to leverage an influencer for that. That's not something I've previously had experience with, leveraging influencers. So it was, always interesting to learn these new things. Talked a lot about LinkedIn, how you can use LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn every day in my day job. Very familiar with the tools and capabilities available there to kind of really narrow down and find your ideal customer, and then leverage different outreach methods with that, whether it's a connection request followed up by a message, or maybe even scraping to get their email address and that kind of thing. Obviously you have to be a little bit careful with that, just with various countries and cold emailing laws and that kind of thing. You don't want to spam, but if you're in an area where there is, or in a country where it is okay to send someone a business orientated email, then that's definitely a channel that's open to you as well. And then the next iteration, really, how to leverage paid advertising. So a lot of what Presh shared really aligns with my thought process, which is, the first form of paid advertising you should ideally do is like a retargeting. So, hey, someone's already landed on your website. It's unlikely people buy the first time they see your website. So they, go away. Makes sense to then kind of remarket to those people via Facebook, for example. And then, if they see your ad, they might come to your website again. They still might not buy, but if you remarket again, third time, fourth time, they might then finally convert to a customer. Now, obviously, the success of that is dependent, on the price point of your product and solution and the profit margin you have, and then obviously the cost of serving those ads. Because if it is a lower cost product, or you have a freemium tier, for example, where it's a free tier before someone pays, that can be harder to make work. So just a couple of kind of things to keep in mind. And then the other area which I've spoken about a fair bit, blogs and content, I've got a lot of experience in that area, so it wasn't too much new that Press shared, and that really kind of extends itself into what I want to talk about next with Oqire. So I've got, a number of things that I set up over the last week, doing a lot more on SEO research to make sure that the content I do produce is going to kind of resonate and drive traffic. I've started setting up a tool that I use, or have set up now, a tool that I use called Missing Letter, which is like a tool like Buffer for social sharing, but it allows you to basically schedule 12 months or more of content from a single piece. So you create a blog post, for example, you upload it to Missing Letter, and then it creates this social sharing content. So that's a tool that I've had for some time, and now I've got that set up on Oqire. Continue to make progress on the application itself. So the first thing that I want to really release is an update to the UI when it comes to adding an opportunity and doing the discovery. So that's pretty much ready to launch, just working on the mobile views of that. Then adding the next kind of feature set really, which is enabling the pre-sales consultant. So if you haven't heard all of my videos, in an enterprise sales opportunity, you have the salesperson who's responsible for driving a deal, and then a pre-sales consultant who's responsible for doing the demonstration, allowing them to kind of add in an alignment fit and a confidence interval, because often you can see that there might be a deal where the sales rep is really keen on it because they think they've got, they're talking to the right people, they've got the right budget, but if it doesn't align with the features and capabilities of your product, it can obviously be a lot harder to sell. Not impossible, but significantly harder. So having that lens from the pre-sales consultant to say, hey, is this a strong fit or a weak fit? How confident am I in this? Then helps the management team, for example, determine like where are we best spending our energy. We've got one pre-sales person supporting 3, 4, 5 salespeople. They can't do everything. So yeah, made some significant progress on that front, which I'm really happy with, and hope to ideally get that out this week. Then leading into our midweek call. So it was really good. A couple of people are starting to pitch. I really do want to pitch. I've been working on the pitch deck as well. Probably a little bit of a perfectionist in that I want to get it a little bit, stronger before I get it out there. But I will share that publicly because, I think that'll be interesting and also help get some more feedback. I think the number one thing that I've seen from the pitches so far is, some people are missing sharing that story, right? So if you're watching this from Founder University, definitely listen to what Charlie and the team have said. Like, that story makes it so much clearer. And there was one application in particular where, you kind of had to, you figured it out eventually, but you were kind of like, okay, I'm not really following, what they're trying to do here and what the benefit is. And if they led with the story, that would have been helped a lot. The other thing that has stood out a little bit is, and this really aligns with my experience helping mentor student entrepreneurs. Sometimes people who are earlier in their career and don't have as much kind of real world corporate experience perhaps feel that there's value in areas and they get some of the numbers a little bit off. To share another example of that, when I was at Founder University, when I was at the University of Sydney mentoring startups, it was very, very, very common for these student entrepreneurs to say, hey, I'm going to create a marketplace to sell secondhand textbooks, or I'm going to create a marketplace where university students can become tutors, or I'm going to create a marketplace where you could get you could connect with mentors for students. And these kind of ideas happened all the time. In a group of maybe 20 or 30 student entrepreneurs, there might be 5 or 6 people doing those ideas every single term, every single semester. And the reason why is obviously that problem's close to their heart, right? Like, they're living that, they understand that, so they go, oh, hey, everyone has this problem, I better create that. And I saw that with one of these other ideas where they were trying to, I don't want to mention it because I don't want to talk bad of another founder, but they were trying to create an incentive model for people who would be earning $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year, and the incentive model was $5 or $10. So my feedback to them was like, you need to kind of match, while everyone, likes money, well, generally everyone likes money, if I'm earning 200 grand a year, is the incentive of getting $5 or $10 sufficient for me to change my behavior or do something, right? So I just saw that kind of shine through a little bit, not only in that pitch, but in some other areas where perhaps people don't have as much experience, like on the enterprise sales side of things. Anyway, that's not to talk negatively. That's just some feedback that I noticed, and I did pass on at the time as well. So yeah, look, obviously, Founder University is rapidly kind of coming to a close. I've really been enjoying the process. I do want to do the best job that I can with this pitch. I do want to get more of my product updated. I do want to, ideally get some paid users on the product. This week I spoke to another, bunch of people who are industry peers and colleagues who experience this problem. And it does resonate. A lot of people are writing this stuff down in a Google Doc or sharing it via email, and these things get lost in the weeds, or they just don't, plain and simple, don't come back to reviewing those notes. So they kind of go into a demo and hope that they're going to deliver on what they need to, but then the pre-sales consultant finds out halfway through the demo that the customer really wanted to see something completely different, and have blown the opportunity. So definitely feel like there's good alignment with the problem. I just need to keep going. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video. Comment down below, hit subscribe if you want to stay up to date with what I'm doing. Appreciate it.